functions. There are different keywords for procedures and functions. Procedures and functions are nothing but the same thing. We didn't want to repeat same uh, code again and again. That's why we create a function, and function call will transfer control from function call to function body. Body will get executed and control will return back to the function or procedure. Functions can return values, procedures cannot return values. In C, C++, Java, we didn't have any special keyword or special treatment for procedure or function, but some languages like Pascal have different keywords, but more or less functions and procedures are same. For this topic, we are going to use procedure keyword for functions as well. Then we have seen parameter passing, uh, pass by value and pass by reference. These are the parts of procedure: procedure name, procedure uh, parameters, which are formal parameters, local parameters, and return type, and body of a function. Benefits: why to go for procedures? It gives us abstraction. Procedure abstraction means name can tell you what the procedure does and not how it does so. So details are hidden from the user. Only required part can be shown to the user. That is abstraction. Implementation hiding is achieved by you can change the procedure instead of changing the entire code. Only you can replace that particular function or procedure. It will change your algorithm. Rest of the code will remain same. Modular programming, yes, you can divide your code into different functions, and these functions can be done by different teams or project teams, and then you can combine it into an entire project. It can be partitioned into different procedures. So modular programming is possible with functions or procedures. And libraries, you can use standard collection of useful procedures as a library. Then we have seen how Pascal differentiates between procedure and function. Scope rules, we have mainly seen the scope rules for names. There are three types of scoping rules: local, non-local, and global. Global variables are available throughout the program. Once it is declared, it is available to any procedure within that program scope. Those are global variables. Local variables are local to that particular procedure which is declared in that procedure. Those are local variables. And non-local variables are those variables which are not global as well as not local, which is having higher scope than local variables but lower scope than global variables. Then we have seen this example to just to understand what is meaning of scope. Scope is not limited to only the type, it is also limited to the declaration of variable. So that definition int a is equal to 0 is available in which section of your code? Entire B0 except B2. So that minus sign is nothing but except B2. Means excluding this B2, because why not B2? Because in B2 we have redeclared variable integer a. So for this printf statement, it will use nearest definition or declaration. If this is commented, then it will use a is equal to 0. A is equal to 0 is still available in B2 if unless and until you redeclare it. Once you redeclare that variable, the original definition is hidden or overridden. It is the similar concept like overriding in Java we have seen. The base class function is available in child class, but if child class is also providing the function with same signature, then the base class function is overridden. You cannot access that base class function. You can access it with super keyword. Similarly here, you cannot access a is equal to 0, you can access a is equal to 2 for this particular block. So just remember what is meaning of scope and how to decide the scope of particular declaration. Then we have just touched these two lines, lexical scope versus dynamic scope. Lexical scope, which is identified at compile time, which you know what is the scope of this declaration, definition of a particular variable is considered or is known at compile time unambiguously. When the scope is decided dynamically at runtime, it is called dynamic scope. So static scope, lexical scope or compile time scope is same thing. Scope of the name determined at compile time. So you can just go through the code and you can decide, okay, this variable is available like here. You can say that a is equal to 0 is available in B0, B1 and B3. It is not available in B2. Just looking at the code, program is not executed yet, but you can find out what is the scope of a is equal to 0. So this is called lexical scope or compile time scope or static scope. But if instead of here, if it is a function call, the scope of that variable is decided when the function is called and how many times that function is called. So that is runtime or dynamic scope. We'll talk more on dynamic scope later in this section. So dynamic scope of a name determined at runtime. So languages like C, Pascal, Ada are static languages. They support static scoping. Dynamic languages, Lisp, APL, Snowball, or you are going to study Scala, which is similar to Lisp in functional programming unit number 3. Sir is going to cover that. And Python is also a dynamic language. Java is also a dynamic language. Then we have seen parameter passing methods. Arguments are actual parameters and these parameters are formal parameters. Call by value, call by reference. We have seen this example yesterday with the help of Python tutor. There is one more, what we can say, example of call parameter passing, which is called call by value result. This is one more example of call by value and call by reference. Okay, this is the same example, swap function, but with Pascal syntax. So here you can see that variable a and b declared as integer. There is a procedure swap as it is not returning anything, so it's a procedure. X comma y integer. This variable t is integer and t is equal to x, x is equal to y is equal to t. This is our regular logic for swapping begin and end. So this is your swap function. And this begin and end is for our program. So here we have declared a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2. Swap function is called and write function is like printf statement. It will display value of a and b. So if this function call is called by value, these values will not swap. The values of a and b will be 1 and 2. But if it is called by reference, as we have seen yesterday, these values will get swapped and the output will be 2 and 1. Because in call by reference, we are not passing the values, we are passing the location or address or references. And that's why the formal parameters are not the containers which contains values, but these are the pointers pointing to that location. So we are actually swapping the locations instead of or the values of that location. So the values get reflected in calling function. That's why call by value can change these values. Reference can change these values. Call by value will not change. Here one interesting example of call by value and call by reference. In case of call by value, when you call a method fill cup, it will take another cup and fill the contents of this cup into this one. So if you drink the tea from this cup, it will not affect the original cup because these are two different containers containing the same values. But in case of pass by reference, when you say fill cup, you are actually related or pointing to this cup only. So if you drink a tea from it, this will get empty. Or you are using the contents from this cup. One more method of parameter passing, which is called call by value result or copy restore. It is a combination of call by value and call by reference. Not all languages support call by value result. or copy restore. There are different names for this parameter passing method. You know that C language, Pascal language support call by value, call by reference. We have seen the example of call by value and call by reference from C and Python, Pascal. But there is one more method which is called call by value result or copy restore. So what it does, it copies data from callee during the call, and changes do not affect actual parameters. So callee is a main function. Caller is a main function. Callee is the function that you are calling. For example, here swap. Swap function is callee, and this is main function. Suppose main is caller. Main is calling swap function. So when the function is called, these values are copied here in x and y, like call by value. This function will carried out automatically, means as per the logic. This function is executed. It will not affect original values or actual values. But at the end, when this function is completed and you'll return back, the respected values can be will get modified. So just read this line very carefully. Data copied at the callee. During the call, changes do not affect the actual parameters, but after the call, actual values is updated. It is also called copy in, copy out. So at the time of function call, A and B, values of A and B are copied into X and Y. Then the function is executed for X and Y. And when the function completes its execution, at the when you return from that function to the caller, the values will get updated. So it is called copy in and copy out. Difference, what is the difference between copy restore and call by reference? So that I'll show you in the next example. If it is called procedure has more than one way to accessing the location in activation record of the caller. We'll talk about activation record further. So this is very interesting example. I am going to start camera for this. So here, this is a main function. This part is main function. A is equal to 1. This is assignment statement from Pascal. This is the syntax of Pascal programming language. This is a function called foo. So control will transfer to this function or procedure foo. This is procedure foo with its body till from begin to end. And after completion of this procedure, control will return back and this line will get displayed. So here currently value of A is equal to 1. And what we are doing in foo function, note that in foo function, actual parameter is A, formal parameter is X, but in this function you are say incrementing A also and X also. So if this is executed by call by reference, it will result into 3. If it or if it is executed with call by result, it will result into 2. How? Let's see. So say in main, in Pascal there is no concept of main, but I am explaining you with that. So this is our main function. Execution starts from this line. A is equal to 1, begin and end. So when variable A is declared, memory is allocated, say A610, and value is 1. Now I am explaining with call by reference. So when you call a function foo with parameter A, suppose you pass this address to foo. So what is X? X is a pointer which points to A, which has stored this result. And this is the address of X, and this is the address of A. So address of A is stored in X. I am explaining you call by reference. So what is X? X is nothing but a pointer to A. A and X are pointing to same value. Now you are in function foo. What is X? X is address of A or X is pointer to A. Now in function foo, you are incrementing A. So what is value of A? From 1 it will get incremented to 2. Now you are incrementing X. So what is X? X is again nothing but a pointer X. So read this line as star X is equal to star X plus 1. So it will increment value at this location. So this value will be 3. So output for call by reference will be 3. Because A and X are pointing to same memory location. Is it clear? Call by reference. Now why call by value will result into 2. Look at this. So initially value of X is 1. Sorry, A is 1, which is stored at location XX10. Note that when function is called, variable X is created at new location. It's a different variable and the value is copied as it is. So we are, this is copy in. This is called copy in. It is like call by value. You are calling function foo with value X. Foo is called with A and this is foo function with integer X. So value of A is copied into X. Now what you are doing into foo? You are incrementing A. So A will get incremented to and X will get incremented to 2. And when you come back, the value of A, newly modified value of A will be copied back here. So this value will be copied out. So here A plus 1 will refer to this A from name and X will refer to the X which is local to that function 2. So after this function call, value of A which is updated will reflect into this function, right? A is equal to. Any queries about call by value result? See, if you are using different variable name instead of A, if you are using Y or again X, it will not reflect. Value of X, only if you just say X is equal to X plus 1, you will get value as 1. It will not change. But if you are using same variable name as that of main function, then only it will reflect. Otherwise, it will act as call by value. So we have seen three types of parameter passing methods: call by value, call by reference, and call by value result. So in copy in phase, so there are two phases: copy in and copy out. In copy in phase, both the values and the locations of actual parameters are computed and passed to the formal parameters. And in copy out phase, after the procedure body executed, final values of the formals are copied back to the locations computed in copy in phase. So in phase corresponds to the values, but out phase is called by value result. And in and out corresponds to either reference parameters. So in is passing by value, out is we are copying out phase, that is called by value result, and in and out corresponds to both reference parameters. So int a is equal to 2 and this method here X is not initialized, changes to A or X doesn't affect each other because X is at different memory location, A is at different memory location. But in case of call by reference, A and X pointing to same memory location. Now let's talk about activation records. What is activation? What is meant by procedure activation? What is meaning of invocation?
Calling a procedure.
Correct. It is called calling a procedure. So when you call a procedure, procedure is invoked or it is activated. And for that particular procedure call, memory is allocated. In stack memory, we have seen there are three types of memories, or primary memory is divided into three main parts: static memory, stack memory, and heap memory. Stack memory is used for runtime execution of a procedure. So stack is allocated to that particular function or procedure, and the record of that function or procedure is maintained throughout that procedure execution. That is called activation record. What is activation record? Information needed by single execution of a procedure is managed using an activation record or frame. It consists of local variables or temporary variables created by a system, then actual parameters, return address, return value, pointers to the calling function, that is activation record of calling function or caller's activation record, register which is used to save for caller what is the next. You have to return back now to the calling function. So that is the pointer. Then non-local data access links. If there is, we have local data, global data, and non-local data. So link to access non-local data, and many more. We are going to see all these activation parameters in detail. Uh, Registers can take place of some of them. So instead of memory which is allocated in stack, some part can be stored in registers. Then activation time, each declaration is bound to a location. So whenever you call a function, then memory is allocated to those variables which are defined in that particular function. And when you return from that function, memory is deallocated. So location is bound. So declaration, the variable is bound to the location at activation time. So you may find these terms hard, but this is very simple to understand. Activation time is when function is called, and declaration is variable declaration, and location is memory. So variables which are declared in that function or procedure will get memory allocation at the time of activation. It is associated with each activation of a procedure is storage for variable declared in the procedure. So associated with each activation of a procedure is a storage for variables declared in the procedure. So if you call procedure 10 times, for example, from for loop, so 10 different activations are created for that particular procedure. Every time new activation record is created. The storage associated with activation is called activation record. So activation is function call, and the storage or memory which is allocated or associated with that particular function call is called activation record. So in lexically scoped languages, there are three types of bindings: compile time, activation time, and runtime. Activation trees are, suppose we have to show your program, how program is executing and how these procedures are called. So you can show, instead of using flowchart, you can show it with activation record. How to read this? For example, P is main program. P is first calling function Q, and then it will return control back to P, and then it is calling function R. So these nodes are nothing but the activations or procedures. Nodes are listed from left to right in order of invocation. So nodes can be decorated, which is means we can decorate, or we can attach some values or attributes to these nodes, like return values or parameters that we are passing, or local variable values. So these are called decorated nodes. For example, here sort function, sort list. Then first function is read. This is a quick sort function. So sort function is calling read function. Then from read you're calling quick sort function. And suppose low and high value we passed as 1, 9. We want to sort 9 values. Then we call partition function. Partition function will partition this list into two separate lists depending upon the uh, middle value. Then this partition function is called here. Control will return back. Then quicksort function is called uh, from low to x minus 1, and another quicksort function is called from x plus 1 to high. X is pivot element. Pivot element is calculated by partition function. I hope you are familiar with quicksort. If you are not familiar with, just leave it. But you can map this piece of code with this activation tree. So these nodes are nothing but procedure names. And how to read this tree? This is a calling function. From the sort function is calling read. When you return from read to sort, it will call quick sort. Quick sort will call partition function. Partition function will call another quick sort, like this. So what are the elements of activation record? So data which is needed for the activation of a procedure is called collection in a record. It's called activation record or frame. It contains storage for local variables. What you need for that function to execute local variables, then formal parameters, or any additional data if needed. If it is a recursive procedure, we need separate memory, distinct state storage for its formal parameters. For each activation, if it is a recursive call, we need separate memory allocation for formal parameters. Similarly, each activation needs distinct storage for local variables. So local variables and formal parameters will need memory or allocation separately for every activation. Now let me explain you activation with the help of recursion example. We have already seen this example in some of the topic. But this is very relevant example here. You can relate what is meaning of activation with this help of this example. I'm writing a factorial function. This is visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So if x is equal to 0, I have to return 1. If x is equal to 1, return 1. Else return what? X into factorial of x minus 1. So this is a recursive call. So if value of a is 0, value of x will be 0 and it will return 1, and it will print factorial of 0 is 1. If value of a is 1, the function will get called x, value of x will be 1, it will return 1. If x is 2, these conditions will be false, so it will come here 2 into factorial of 2 minus 1. So it will call factorial again with parameter 1 and it will return 1. So this function will return 1 and 2 into 1 will return 2. So in main function, you can see memory is allocated for a and small n. X is not available in main variable x. If you try to print x, it will print declared symbol x. Now value of a is 4, n is not declared. Here function call is made, control will transfer to function factorial. You can see activation record. This small part is activation record. Now we cannot see each and every details of activation record, but you can see in stack, this is the stack memory. Memory is allocated separately for fact and variable x. Local, it is not a local variable, it is formal parameter. Then x is nothing but value that is passed for a. I have to pass a, sorry. Will not make any change in the code, but the value of x is 4. If x is equal to 0, no, this condition is false. X is equal to 1, this condition is false. So it will come into the else part and execute this return statement x into. So value of x is 4 into what? We are calling function again fact x minus 1. So fact x minus 1, another activation. Here I am using a term activation record for fact is called. Now value of x is x minus 1. So it will be, note that this x is different from this x. New memory is allocated here and here because it's a new activation and this value will be 3 now, x minus 1. Again it is not 0, not 1. So this is, for this function, return value is 3 into x minus 1. So now value of x is 2. So now can you see there are 4 activations? And here value of x is 1. Now look at the board. So we have fact function fact for 4. So this function should return 4 into x into fact of x minus 1, which is 4 minus 1, that is 3. So this is another function call. What this function should return? 3 into fact of 2. 3 minus 1, that is 2. This function should return 2 into fact of 1. Okay. Now we are here. So there are 4 activation records are created for this function called factor 4, fact of 3, fact of 2, and fact of 1, which you can see here. So these are 4 activation records for factorial function. Now when x is equal to 1, it will return 1. It will end our recursion, return 1. So this function, now look at here, fact of 1 will return 1. So now this fact of 2, what it will return? 2 into 1. that is 2. Now this fact 3 will return 3 into 2, which is 6. And then fact of 4 will return 6 into 4, which is 24. And we will get the answer 24. So these are written values. These are written values from this function, which is not visible with Python tutor. That's why I have used board how this function will execute. Now fact x is equal to 1 will execute this line x is equal to 1 and return 1, where it will return 1 towards calling function. Who is calling this fact 1? Fact 2. So 1 will return to fact. So you can now you just see here this fact activation record will be discarded. Memory allocated for fact of 1 will be deallocated. After execution return 1. Now there are only 3 activation records. This activation record will get deleted. And what it will return? 1. So 2 into 1, the value is 2 now. Now what fact 2 will do? Fact 2 should return the value to fact 3. And so fact 3 has 3 into 2, that is 6. So now fact 2 is deleted from the stack. You are calling fact of 4 from fact of 3. So it is 4 into 3. This value is deleted. You cannot see your return value, but it is there 6. Now 6 into 4, it will return 24. And this value is 24. And you will get the result. Factorial of 4 is 24. Now, if I write here 100, what will be the result? Will it execute? How many activation records will be created for a is equal to 100?
100.
Have you ever come across the error called stack overflow? Let's see here. There is an error. Trace is too long. How many bytes? Shorten your code. So why? Because the stack memory is limited, RAM memory is limited. So for every activation, you need inbuilt, RAM memory, stack memory, and sometimes stack is not sufficient. So compiler can give you error, stack overflow, or like this. Trace is too long. It will execute for up to certain cases. In this, for example, you have 10 activation records will get created and program is executed for 10 times. And directly go to the last line and you'll get the output. But if it is too long, those many records need to be stored in this stack and it will create a memory problem. That's why sometimes we need to go for heap memory or dynamic allocation. So we have seen what is activation record and how it is created and what is activation tree. In next lecture, we'll continue with activation records in detail, more on